Okay, lesson 18. Question of the day: how can programming languages hide complicated patterns so that it is easier to program? By the way, the name of this is velocity. Lesson 18 is velocity, and here is the new code we're working with, which are just some sprite properties. So rotation speed, sprite.velocity x and velocity y. I wonder what rotation speed is, because we could just increase the rotation with a counter pattern. Oh, that answers the question of the day. Complicated patterns so that it's easier to program, instead of using the counter pattern. Right. I'm actually remembering from before what this stuff does. So velocity x, one way to move sprites in GameLab is with the counter pattern. For example, sprite1.x equals sprite1.x plus 1. This moves a sprite by 1 pixel each frame of the draw loop. This pattern is so common that sprites have a velocity x property that does this for you. So velocity x is just this, okay? It makes it easier. So let me go back. I'm going to open the lesson overview in a new tab. While that's loading, do this. Drag a sprite.velocity x block directly below where your sprite is created. Show me where. Oh, okay, so down here. Sprite.velocity x. Let's rename the sprite fish. And let's make it 5. Cool. So again, the question of the day: how can programming languages hide complicated patterns so that it is easier to program? So that's all this velocity x property is doing, is it's making this counter pattern easier for you. Okay, keep that in mind. Write the name of your sprite in the block, assign the velocity x property a value of 1. We did 5. Run the code, see what happens. Rerun the code. Okay, so yeah, give it a different value. So I did 5. Now if we do 10, it'll be twice as fast. Okay, so that's exercise 2. Exercise 3 is a video. So go to watch the video. They help you out. They give you answers. I can't stress that enough. Watch the video. Okay, exercise 4, moving down. Here is a feather sprite that should be floating down the screen. If velocity x makes a sprite move to the right, can you find the block that will make the feather move down? Okay, stop. Think about this. If velocity x makes a sprite move to the right, what block will make it move down? Not velocity x, but velocity velocity y. Okay. So put the sprite.velocity y there, name it feather. Doesn't negative makes it go down, or positive? Let's put positive 5. Okay, yeah, so positives make it go down. And use it outside the draw loop. Okay, so yeah, put it outside the draw loop. Makes it move right here. So moving on to exercise 5. So for exercise 5, we're talking about rotation speed. You can use rotation speed to make your sprite spin. If you want your sun to rotate by 2 degrees each time it's drawn, you can use sun.rotation speed 2 before the draw loop after you create your sprite. So for some reason they're just showing us to put everything after you create your sprite outside of the draw loop. That will probably make sense later. Do this. Make the sun rotate by 3 degrees each time by using the rotation speed block. So let's name this sprite sun. It says 3 degrees, so we'll try that. And that's all we're doing for exercise 5. Okay, yeah, and so it's rotating like that. So now if we make it 10 times faster by adding a 0, oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, on to exercise 6. Controlling speed. You use rotation speed outside the draw loop to make your sprite rotate when your program started. You can also use rotation speed inside the draw loop to change the speed of the sprite during the game. For example, a sprite can start rotating when the user presses the space bar and it will keep rotating until it's told to stop. Okay, now it makes sense why we were putting it outside the draw loop. Okay, do this. Look at the if statement inside the draw loop that checks whether the spacebar has been pressed. Use the rotation speed block to make the color wheel start spinning when the user presses the spacebar. Okay, so there's the if statement. Look, they're giving you a hint. Wheel starts spinning when the user presses the spacebar. So what was that? Rotation speed, sprite rotation speed. And what's the name of the sprite? Wheel. And we'll say 10. Whoops. 10. So look, it's not spinning, but when I press the spacebar, it is. Key went down, and notice how its key went down. So that's why I let go of the spacebar and it's still spinning. If we wanted it to stop, once I release the spacebar, we would need key down, okay? So move on to exercise 7. Okay, so exercise 7 is a prediction exercise, changing velocity with position. One advantage to using the velocity blocks inside the conditionals, the if statements, is that your sprite keeps moving even after the condition stops being true. For example, you only had to press a key once to start the color wheel spinning, and it kept spinning forever. The code below uses if statements to make a fish sprite move in different directions. Okay, do this. Look at the if statements that check the sprite's position and set its velocity. With your partner, discuss. Okay, so think about fish.x velocity. So, okay, so once it hits one side of the screen, it'll have an x velocity of 2, and then it hits the other side, and then it has a velocity of -2. Left to right, I'll just say. The fish is going to move from left to right. So once it hits here, it's going to go left. The reason I knew that is because, look, fish.x less than 0, that's over here. Look, x, if you look down here, the x value is less than 0, so it bounces and gives it a velocity of 2. But when it's greater than 400, which 400x is on this side of the screen, it bounces and gives the velocity -2, making it go left. Okay, so let's move on to exercise 8. Back and forth. This ball bounces back when it hits the bottom of the screen. So this is already I can tell you this is similar to exercise 7. Can you make it bounce back when it hits the top of the screen? Do this, run the code and see how it works. Look at how conditionals and velocity are used to make the ball bounce at the bottom of the screen. Add code to make the ball bounce at the top of the screen. Right away, we know this is similar to exercise 7. So what's this? Okay. So I'm going to open exercise 7 in a new tab. Okay. And so here we have if ball.y is greater than 380. So where's y 380? Okay, so that's like the bottom, y 380. Then it gives the ball a velocity of -5. So we want it so that when it hits about y 20, to give the velocity +5. So what did I say before? We actually aren't going to need exercise 7. I always say copy and paste is a coder's best friend. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm not going to give you the whole answer, okay? But I'm going to show you. So if we want y 20, do we want it less than or greater than? It's greater than up here. So we want it to be less than down here, less than 20. And what do we have to change about this? We just need to take it out. It needs to be +5. Okay, copy and paste, a coder's best friend. So this should work. Oh, cool. Very cool. Okay, yeah, it worked. All right, so move on to exercise 9. Okay, let's start with 9A. So this is exercise 9A, controlling speed. For this animation, you'll help the flybot to take off. It should start moving up when the spacebar is pressed, and it should continue moving up even after the spacebar is released. Okay, use an if statement inside the draw loop to check when the spacebar is pressed. Use the velocity Y block to make the sprite move up when the user presses the spacebar. Check that your animation behaves the way you'd expect. Okay, so I'm looking for the color wheel here, guys. I don't know which level that was, but this is going to be the same because we're just going to copy an if statement from the colored wheel spinning. I just did 5, I think, so I'll do 6. I'll do 6. One of these, look guys, it's always about copy and paste. You want to have like a mental library of things you have done in the past so you know where you can borrow your ideas from. So let's see which one we can borrow. Okay guys, so I think it's exercise 6. So open that in a new tab. And what we did in exercise 6 was we pressed the space bar and the wheel kept spinning. But we don't want that for exercise 9A. We want to press the space bar and for this guy to just go up. So we're going to copy that if statement and we're going to change some things around. Move your cursor. I move my cursor, this little black line, I move it with my arrow keys on my keyboard. So this is correct. We want if key went down space. So we just need to change this line of code, okay? And it's not wheel.rotation speed. Actually, yeah, we can just take this out. What is it? Use the velocity Y block to make the sprite move up. So we take Y, velocity Y. The name of the sprite is Flybot. And we'll make it 5. Is that correct? Let's see. So he stays right there. I press the space bar and he moves down. So what do we have to change? We need to make this a negative. Okay? Because negative is what makes him move up. All right, great. So let's move on to 9B. Okay, so we're going on to 9B. Paintbrush. Dip the paintbrush in the paint. Do this. Use a conditional to send the paintbrush down if the down arrow is pressed. Use a different conditional to send the paintbrush up if it reaches the palette. Hint, you will need to check its Y property. Guys, this is the one we did with the soccer ball. Was this exercise 8? Let's check. Okay, so yeah, this exercise 8, we're going to borrow some things from exercise 8. So open exercise 8 in a new tab. Okay, I already have it up. So we want this the same thing. So we're going to copy Y380. So we're going to copy this if statement. And we're going to put it in. All right, let me move my cursor down into the draw loop below background, but above draw sprites. And we don't want ball.y, we want brush.y. And so it needs to look like this. Okay, I think this is going to work. Oh, whoops. Okay, so use a conditional to send the paintbrush down. Oh, if the down arrow is pressed. Okay. So, okay, so this ball is automatically moving. So we're actually going to need to do what we did. Okay, so 2 conditionals. So this next conditional is going to be, let's copy it from 9A, okay? So I opened up 9 in a new tab. I'm going to go to 9A. And at 9A, we are going to copy this statement, this if statement, and we're going to paste it down here. Move your cursor below that if statement, paste it. We don't want if key went down space. We want if key went down, down. And we don't want flybot velocity. We want brush velocity Y, and we want this to be a positive 5. And I think this should work. Or whoops. Okay, cool. Okay, all right, cool. But let's make it like 350 instead. And guys, this is it. Okay, so I'm not going to give you the answers. I don't want to give you the answers to 10, the assessment. I want you to do that on your own. I just showed you everything up to exercise 9. So for exercise 10, look through these levels, take ideas from them, copy and paste, okay? and that's your asynchronous work.